Every single year in Parshas Mishpatim, I was like looking into a different aspect of what the Torah says about doctors. Last year, we had a pretty thorough session on this about doctors. We discussed a lot of very important ideas about doctors. This year, I looked into a few more interesting points about doctors. First of all, it says at the end of Reshonim and Mishpatim, I'll pull you up there. Talks about healing. And over there, the Gemara in Baba Kama says, Mikan Shenitz Rishusaro for the Rappos. Over here, doctors were given permission to treat patients. The question is, why would they need permission? Maybe there's a difference between an internal wound versus external wound. External, you cause it yourself. Internal, we might have thought Hashem sent it, therefore Hashem will fix it. You can't intervene. And that's why the Torah needs to teach us that now. Even so, for an internal wound, a doctor could and should intervene, such as cancer and the like. Obviously, I'm naturally biased towards this because my wife, as profession, is a PA, physician's assistant, and has been doing so successfully for the last 7 years. So, I want to first point out something interesting about doctors. Many great rabbis are doctors. We know there's a mission in Shkalim, even from the time of the Tanaim, we find that the rabbis felt the need to teach us that certain rabbis were also doctors. One of the more famous doctors in the Gemara is Shemuel. Shemuel was a doctor. We know from the Gemara in a few places. And not only was he a doctor, he was a doctor for Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi also, and for Rav. Shemuel was a doctor. We find another interesting individual who the Gemara tells was a doctor, Umna. Tainus, we already put the recordings up on Chaf Alpha and Base. So therefore, there's no need to really double dip and go through what we already presented over there. It's towards the end of the Amud, Chaf Alpha and Base, if you want to see what we said over there. I wonder actually if we started officially from Chaf Beis Amud Aleph, because it was kind of in the middle. It's split between the two pages. It could have started Chaf Beis Amud Aleph. It continues up on the top over there. Basically, the Gemara says that Abba Umna, he received the Shalom Aleichem, a heavenly greeting daily. And Abaye and Rava didn't get it as often. It was either Erev Yom Kippur or Erev Shabbos. And in short, the Gemara over there deals with what was so special about Abba Umna. And the Gemara in a nutshell basically says that there were two things that he did which were incredibly righteous and above and beyond the letter of the law. Number one, he was incredibly modest. When he had patients that were females, he didn't, nowadays you go to the hospital, I mean, it's like the whole back is open, it's crazy, the modesty. He had the special garments that his patients would wear, they were totally covered except for a small hole in the garment so that basically he could insert the needle to do his medical work that he needed to do. Also, he would have separate seating for the patients that the men and the women wouldn't be too close and intermingling. And then furthermore, he didn't make anyone pay. Nowadays, many of the top doctors, many of them don't take insurance, and they get very wealthy patients, and they really only treat those wealthy patients who are willing to pay out of pocket those fees. And it's the game is on both sides. The patients, they themselves know they don't want to waste their time at these doctors a lot of times that are taking the insurance with all types of people, and they're favored. Abu Umar was not that way. They're playing favorites. Abu Umar was not that way. He treated all patients equally to the extent that he didn't even have a cash register up front. He didn't collect that front at all. What he did was he had a place that after, if you wanted to put your money there, you could put your money. If you didn't want to pay, you didn't have to pay. And not only that, but if you saw a Talmid Chacham, even if a Talmid Chacham could afford it, he wouldn't make him pay. He wouldn't make him pay. Insisted not to. The Gemara over there talks about how they tested him and he was incredibly pious. Always kept his cool. Always kept calm, no matter what. Crazy tests over there that discusses. I saw in the Sefer Margalios Hashas, they quoted from someone so late last night. I even wanted to look into this more, but I have this farm next to me. I thought maybe we'll do it tomorrow. Today just works out better. So I'll just tell you what I saw so far. We can't even fathom how great Abaye was. And the Gemara over here is teaching us that because of these acts of Abna Umna, he even got these greetings more frequently. You see from over here the tremendous importance of modesty. Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam, learning every single second, it's incredibly important. No one disagrees with that. People have a hard time doing it because the Yetzer Hara knows how to stop people, but no one disagrees. Torah, it's all about Torah, supporting Torah, etc., all of that. And yet, what do we see? Kedusha and Tahara. A person being careful, not to physically sin, God forbid, but even just to look at something inappropriate. You see that when a person is so careful to put up precautionary measures, put up a fence so that he won't come to even have an improper thought, to that degree, that's already on a level of Abaye. It's a tremendous point. Just think about that for a moment. In particular, I was bothered by this Gemara. So what was it that Abba Umna was such a special doctor? Obviously, it was all of these things, but was it one more than the other? I didn't see anyone talk about it. I think it was just a combination of all this righteousness, all these acts. That's why the Gemara takes up lines and lines and lines talking about Abba Umna. Very special doctor. Something that all doctors could learn from. We discussed in the past numerous explanations. Toiv shiva roifim legehenim, it says at the end of Kiddushin. The best doctors go to Gehenna. One of the reasons is that if they're the best doctors, they're not going to take patients who can't pay for it. Because they're so good, they're only dealing with the high end. It's terrible, because now people are going to be dying because of you. We're getting very sick. The Rambam sent a letter to the rabbi who actually translated his Moreh Nevuchim that the Rambam wrote. Rabbi Ibn Tibbon something, I forget the exact name. Well-known letter. And in it, the Rambam talks about how he never gets home before halachic midday. He's there from early in the morning, Egypt, and he's involved with the leader of Egypt and taking care of his medical needs and all the staff that he has. Talks about that some days it's just routine, other days there's more complications. I never get home, he says, before halachic midday. Once he finally gets home, he says he descends from his animal, washes his hands, and over there are tons and tons of people sitting on a bench waiting for him because they know what time he's going to return. The Rambam asks for their permission and begs them, please, let me eat quickly because this is the only time I could eat in a 24-hour period. And the Rambam talks about how he's involved with these medical practices until at night, till late at night, and he's so tired that he just has to lie down, and he's still telling people medical and advice and everything. And the Rambam basically says, in short, if you want to talk to me, the only time you can get me is on Shabbos. It's the only time. I'm too busy during the week. Yeah, whatever it is, talk to me for advice. He's also a leader. Yeah, he had very little time. Very little time. It's incredible. The Rambam talks about that. And the Rambam, he also writes in that letter, the people that are waiting for me, some are Jewish, some aren't. Some are wealthy, some aren't. Some are big in the community, some aren't. Doesn't matter. The Rambam treated everyone. The Rambam also, one of the most famous doctors. The Ramban also was a doctor. The Seforno, there were many Shilti Hagiborim, many great rabbis were doctors. At the end of the day, the important hashkafa for the doctor is he has to realize he's a shliach ba'alma, he's a messenger. The healing is not coming from the doctor. The doctor is a mere messenger of Hashem. The healing at the end of the day comes from Hashem. So those are a few points of doctors. One more very interesting point, very brief and interesting point. Rav Zilberstein and Aleinu Shabeach says, if the doctors go on strike and you are a doctor, it's prohibited for you to not heal your patients. You have to heal your patients even when on strike. This is very relevant because the strike of the nurses just ended after around 3 weeks or so. They ended up getting a 12% pay raise. It's union. It's around 15,000 nurses. And they was walked out. And from what I was told by people who know more what's going on inside, there were serious medical issues that happened during those 3 weeks, and it was dangerous. They tried to hire nurses, temporary nurses, traveling nurses. They didn't. It's not enough, and it was very dangerous. From also what I'm told is specifically for the politics of unions. So unions, even if you want to go to work, you can't. I don't know exactly what that means, but the Zilberstein says you got to go if you could, and you have to be very careful. This is a serious profession. Policemen and firemen, I'm told, are not allowed to go on strike because considered essential. Why aren't nurses? Why aren't medical staff considered essential? I don't know. More people are likely to die because more people are in a hospital than fire, if you ask me.
Right.
But what to talk about? Those are a few points about doctors. All right. Yeah.